Oke, halo semuanya. Malam yang panjang, kita lanjutkan tengah malam game saja. Ini kemarin kita sudah sampai di depan studionya si Hobbs. Kita akan mencoba masuk ke dalam.
I wouldn't have been able to break the chain, or the padlock. The door was locked. Looking through the window, I could see that there was nothing in the van. Hobbs must have taken the portfolio inside.
Coba masuk dari pintu depan secara normal. Biasa amin, begitu harus trial and error, Ch4ede's bahasanya.
I don't think there's anyone home.
There's a light on upstairs.
It was Hobbs's mailbox. There was a note hanging out. For a second, I debated the morality of mail snooping. It was a short debate, and I won. I decided to open the letter. Dear Mr. Hobbs, due to previous incidents, we are writing to inform you that we will no longer be sending models to your address. It went on to discuss Hobbs's temper and other alleged infractions, some of which still carry the death sentence in certain less sophisticated cultures. Interesting. This could come in useful. I'd pounded that door until my hand hurt. We were going to have to find another way to attract Hobbs' attention. Climbing drain pipes was something I preferred to avoid. The large dumpster was full of garbage. Piles of junk, mostly boxes of old paints and scraps of picture frames. Mixed in were wires, cardboard, and some dubious-looking old clothes. George Stobart.
Ah, Monsieur Stobart. I trust you have obeyed my instructions.
Si polisi itu dong. Telepon.
Of course, Inspector.
Good. You clearly know which side your cookie is buttered. Now, I require your presence for a moment emergency before a reconstruction.
I see.
12 o'clock sharp, monsieur. Or, as you would say, high.
Sure.
Any failure to comply, and I shall have you extraordinarily rendered. Have a nice day now.
And you. That was Nave. We're required back at the gallery tomorrow for a crime scene reconstruction.
Let me guess. Non-attendance is a criminal offense?
You got it.
Mau itu
Pile
mengecekkan
of
TKP
paint, wire, and
kejadian
other
perkara. Sudah datang lagi.
Not a sound. The horn wasn't working. I popped open the van's hood. The van's hood was already open. I decided to leave the handbrake alone. Slasha.
Artinya siapa ini tukang minum. Di situ juga ada whisky. Udah buka, atas.
The horn wasn't working.
Ini kita harus memperbaiki si klakson. Tuat-tuat.
The engine was held together by rust and dirt. Everything was covered in a sticky film of dirty black oil. Half the wiring wasn't connected to anything. It was clear why the horn hadn't made a noise. Neither hornpipe was connected to either the battery or the cab. It was the van's engine. I didn't really have any reason to sabotage it. It was the van battery. I needed to hook this up to the horn somehow. A bundle of short, severed wires was connected to the battery. None of the wires were connected to anything. It was one of two horns in the van. It didn't seem to be connected to anything else under the hood. Two wires hung loose from it. It was one of two horns in the van. It didn't seem to be connected to anything else under the hood. Two wires hung loose from it. A bundle of wires came into the engine bay from the dashboard. Many of the wires seemed to lead nowhere. A loose wire hung from the right-hand horn. A bundle of wires came into the engine bay from the dashboard. A loose wire hung from the left-hand horn. If I had some spare cable, I could connect it to the wires from the cab.
Berarti harus mencari spare cable. Ingatku di
I
sini
had
tadi ngomong
found
kabel
just
kan.
what I needed.
Yes.
2 lengths of wire.
Siap.
The engine bay was a mess. I snipped the wire in half. I used the wire to join the battery to the horn. The wire was just long enough to connect the battery to the horn. I connected the wires from the cab to the horn. Everything was wired up. The horn had power.
Sip. Wah. Seperti itu caranya.
I figured that should get Hobbs' attention.
All right, hold your blooming horses. What are you up to with my van?
Hello there. We fixed your horn.
So I hear. Now what are you doing in my yard?
Sorry to bother you again, Mr. Hobbs, but... Well, that could have gone better.
He's not exactly the friendliest of characters.
Nyebelin ya. Sini kita perlu mobil lagi.
I decided to give it another blast.
For crying out loud, will you leave my van alone?
Sorry, just need a quick word, Mr. Hobbs.
Afternoon, Mr. Hobbs. We're from the model agency. About blooming time. I'm on a deadline. You better come up.
Berhasil masuk.
About time you two showed up.
Hello, Mr. Hobbs. I was just wondering if...
Can it, Goldilocks? I don't have time for chit-chat. Just get undressed behind that screen.
Undressed?
That was the deal. An extra 20 quid because I need you with your kit off.
The studio was freezing.
And as for you, darling, no need to get undressed. I've got a vivid imagination, so I'll just use that. Either way, just go sit over there on that rug and give me your best belly pop floozy. That's perfect. Just hold it there.
Nico made for a good distraction. I just needed to figure out how to get a look inside that portfolio. Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
Oh, what do you want? You're supposed to be sprawled naked on that rug with the family jewels out.
Yeah, well, about that. Could I just ask you a couple of questions first?
Blow me. A model who's shy and chatty. It must be my birthday.
I hear you did the restoration of that painting that got stolen recently in Paris?
I might have. It's a fine piece. You can smell the pain in every brushstroke.
Do you know a Russian called Medovsky?
You know Madovsky?
Everyone in the London art scene knows Medovsky.
And everyone in the London art scene who likes their kneecaps knows when to keep their trap shut.
Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
Kaganggun lagi.
What now?
Yeah, about this naked sprawling...
Oh, what's up? Afraid of the shrinking effects of a cold warehouse?
No, it's just...
First time? Little embarrassed? Well, if it helps, we can all get naked.
No, definitely not.
Well then, what are you waiting for? Let the monkey see the nuts.
We had a saying in the Stobart family. If a job's worth doing, then do it with your pants on. But I thought you were a restorer, but you're working on this painting from scratch.
Well, yeah. Look, some clients want a painting that they don't own, restored from scratch, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Don't worry, sunshine. Ignorance is bliss.
Are you sure you won't talk about Medovsky?
Are you deaf? I already told you to drop the subject.
Tell me more about La Maledicción.
Why all the interest in that picture? We're not at the Slade now, Sonny Jim.
Showing that to Hobbs wasn't going to get me anywhere. It's a little musty in here. Do you mind if I spray some of this around?
Brett! Good Lord, man! Put it away! It'll strip the paint off my canvas!
Showing that to Hobbs wasn't going to get me anywhere. He wouldn't want to see it.
Yeah.
Cookie, Mr. Hobbs?
Well, so mad if I do. Rich tea.
Dapatnya
No bourbons.
Afraid not.
game
Got me
itu
done.
adalah muslin dengan cara
Sorry.
begitu. Memang enggak penting-penting.
Stroopwater.
No, it's just the way I walk. Mr. Hobbs, meet Trevor.
Who's Trevor?
My cockroach. Take a look.
Difficult childhood, eh? Well, don't take it out on me.
Showing that to Hobbs wasn't going to get me anywhere. Showing that to Hobbs was not a good idea. Showing that to Hobbs wasn't going to get me anywhere. How about a top-up, Mr. Hobbs?
Thanks, but I've already got a glassful. Hi, what do you think you're doing?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to take a look at some of your pictures. You're very good.
I know, and that portfolio is private. I'm not paying you to gawp around my studio. Get your bloody clothes off.
Sorry.
Hey, I'm still drinking that.
Kita harus cari cara gimana caranya dia ini seperti ngabisin
A
gelas
variety of
itu
liquor bottles, all
biar
empty.
kita bisa ngasih nama-nama dia. Dan kita
Excuse me,
bersihin
Mr.
lagi.
Hobbs.
Kita bersihin lagi.
What now?
I have a letter for you, Mr. Hobbs.
From the model agency. Bane of my life, models. Speaking of which, why have you still got your clothes on?
So, what's in the folder that you're so touchy about?
Little boys should keep their noses out of other people's business. Understand?
Totally.
I ain't got my eye on you, pal.
Perhatikan gelasnya.
I'll let you
Terus
get back to your painting.
You're too kind.
Hobbs had loosely sketched a young couple and an elderly lady sitting next to an overturned picnic basket. The three characters were naked. Behind them, two men in suits were chatting. I didn't need to sit. It was time for action. I wasn't going to mess around with that wiring.
Hey! Leave that
dan
dial
hang
alone.
to.
The heating gobbles up all the power and the circuits can't take it.
Sorry. I turned the thermostat down again. Wow, an old Bofson Wang stereo. I hadn't seen one of those for years. The record had stopped. It was Jasmine Breeze by the Hairy Lobsters. Hobbs seemed to have a thing for 70s psychedelic jams. The stereo was switched off. Adjusting the volume wasn't going to make any difference.
Iya, nyalain dong. Cepat.
I turned the volume up a few notches. I turned the volume down again. I turned the volume up a few notches.
Ternyata sanggup. Enak. Ada apa sih? Oh, tombol.
Hey, stop meddling with that. The power's ropey enough as it is.
Blowing the power would certainly have distracted Hobbs,
Oke.
but the elevator alone wasn't going to trip the whole system.
Hey, stop meddling with that. The power's ropey enough as it is.
The elevator on its own wasn't going to blow the power. It was a shaky old elevator that would once have lifted goods between the floors. I didn't want to play around with the negligee. Those days are long gone. But I wondered who it did belong to. I didn't want to play around with the negligee. Those days are long gone. But I wondered who it did belong to.
My, my. If it isn't George Stobart.
Lady Piermont. Oh my. You're...
No, of course. As an artist's muse, one often finds oneself en pelota.
Lady Piermont.
Now, George, don't be shy. Come here and give me a big hug.
That day was the day the nightmare began. Trapped, smothered, choking on an
George, darling, pass me my robe. It's terribly cold in here.
Oi, what are you doing with a blooming robe on? God help me, but you're supposed to be naked. I've got a deadline to meet.
Well, you won't be meeting any deadlines with manners like that. And besides, it's freezing in here.
Lady Piermont and I had met before. She was larger than life in every way. Lady Piermont.
Oh, George, be a darling and sort the heating out in here.
I'll see what I can do.
Hey! I've told you, don't mess with that thermostat.
Sorry, but Lady Piermont is cold. I thought...
Look, pal, I know it's brass monkeys in here, but the wiring in this building is ancient, and the fuse box won't take it. Her Majesty will just have to get used to chapel hat pegs.
Lady Piermont, Mr. Hobbs won't let me turn up the heat.
Well, we'll soon see about that.
Oh, crumbs.
Tough lady, you know.
If you do not adjust the heating, I shall refuse to cooperate.
Lady Piermont, it's the circuits. They won't take the strain. You know what old buildings are like.
Ini yang pernah main
In
Brokehaven
which case,
sebelum-sebelumnya
I
kenal
see
sama
no
si Lady
reason for
satu
this
lagi.
session to continue.
Bantuin si George banget.
Oh, Lady Piermont, let's not be too hasty. I'm sure I can accommodate your needs.
Good. Perhaps you can start by letting George here turn up the heating.
Oh, go ahead then, but be careful. The power in here is temperamental.
I turned the thermostat up as far as it would go. I wondered if the suspicious wiring could be used to my advantage.
Oh, you. Get down from there. You'll trip the power in the whole building if you're not careful.
The elevator on its own wasn't going to blow the power.
Coba
I'd better not touch the thermostat again.
kita kosongkan.
Hey, that's my whiskey ration for the day gone.
How about a top up, Mr. Hobbs?
Not bad if I do.
Excuse me, Mr. Hobbs.
What now?
How long have you been using Lady Piermont as a model?
Using her? I can't get rid of her.
The painting is looking good.
It would look even better if you took your kit off and got into position.
Tetap maksa.
Mr. Hobbs, this whole nudity thing, keep the extra 20 pounds. If it's all right with you, I'd rather not.
Look, pal. This thing demands flesh, and that is what I am going to get. Now, one way or another, your rosy cheeks are getting onto this canvas.
This was going nowhere. I had to keep stalling until I could take a look inside that portfolio.
Kita coba tanya saja.
A word if I may, Lady Piermont.
For you, George, I know only heirs. How can I help?
How did you come to be working with Mr. Hobbs?
Wheresoever a bohemian needs a helping hand, George, mine is always at the ready. And what better way to help than to expose one's flesh to the sensuous brushstrokes of such a talent?
Do you know anything about a stolen painting called La Malediction?
Oh, is this another of your adventures, George? How delicious. My heart's a tremor, George. Do you think Wilk is mixed up with this?
Maybe, but I need you to act normal until we're sure.
Mum's the word, Georgie. I am the very soul of discretion, as you know.
You see that portfolio by Hobbs' table? You need to take a peek inside.
Be still, my beating heart. Just give me the nod and I'm putting in your hands.
So what have you been up to since our last encounter, Lady Piermont?
Charity work, dear boy.
Oh, any particular kind?
Young men, George. So many have lost their way. I try to guide them best I can.
Lady Piermont, we need your help.
How thrilling! What do you mean? Subterfuge? Measure to me?
Actually, I just need you to step on that lift behind you.
Oh, but of course. Is this good, George, darling?
Perfect. Now, just stay right there.
Oh, not again. There we go. Now, back to work. This is going to be one of those days.
A straw had broken the camel's back. Hobbs was very drunk.
Cepetan.
I was too late to catch a look at the portfolio.
Ya gitu nih. Yang main sih. Langsung ke sini gitu dia.
Now was my chance. It was one of Hobbs' sketches. More of Hobbs' sketches. The model looked familiar. More of Hobbs' sketches. The model looked familiar. Impressionist sketches. Well, it wasn't a maledictio, but it did appear to be a study for an element of the painting, the Ouroboros. There was something different about the image in the center. I figured the sketch might come in handy, so I took it.
What the heck are you doing with those? They're private papers. Huh?
Well, that was fun. Just like when you were a private dick, George.
So, you're not model?
No, Mr. Hobbs.
Well, you can't be a copper. You're not stupid enough. So what the blazes are you doing in my studio?
We're investigating the theft of La Maledictio.
I told you I just restored it. That's what I do. Restore paintings.
And these sketches?
Studies done during the restoration. Nothing more. I've got naught to do with what happened after that painting left this studio. How was I to know it was going to get Henri killed?
Hang on a second. How do you know Henri's dead?
Look, he and I went back a long way. The Lézard Bleu was on the road, so I got the painting into his exhibition. Nothing like this was supposed to happen.
We're not accusing you of anything, Mr. Hobbs. We just want to get to the bottom of this.
I get that, and I'll help you however I can. But this mess is way above my pay grade.
How come you needed to make so many sketches of the page to restore it?
Restoration is not about throwing a load of paint around. It takes research. The surface is a complicated painting. A lot of subtext, a lot of symbols.
Why would anyone want to steal La Maledictio? It's not exactly a famous painting.
True, but there is something special about it that's hard to describe. There's conviction in every brushstroke. Whoever El Surf was, he had a tale to tell. The symbolism is deeply religious.
We have reason to believe that Medovsky is mixed up in a theft of La Maledictio.
Eh? What would he gain from stealing his own painting?
We have strong evidence that Medovsky is not the real owner.
He'll have a hard time proving that. Medovsky has a full set of provenances for the painting. It traces its legitimate ownership all the way back to the painter.
Well, why didn't Medovsky mention them?
Because they're not with him. Henri's got them. Or had them.
And Henri is dead.
So ask his partner.
Lane?
Lane, yeah, Lane. Look, pal, you're wasting your time looking for conspiracies here. And you're wasting my time if you're not actually going to get naked. Go get the provenance from Lane, and everything will turn out hunky-dory.
But it also puts Marquez's story into question.
Not my problem, darling. Now both of you, get lost. I've got a painting to finish.
And we have a critic to interrogate.
Someone's lying? But who?
Is it the gangster or the old Spaniard?
The painter or the art critic?
I need to head back for Nave's reconstruction.
What about the evidence from Medovsky's house? Will you give it to Nave?
I think I should. And I can put the squeeze on Lane. Ask him about the provenance.
Good. I've got lunch with Ronnie tomorrow. His story is hurting up, and I want to make sure he keeps me on it.
Taxi?
Oke guys, sampai sini dulu. Kita nanti lanjut kemana? Kita save saja dulu. Sampai ketemu lagi.